What's up guys, welcome back to Lex Alexas. It is Transfer Tuesday. Quite literally, I am recording this Tuesday morning, so if I look really tired, I really do apologise. I couldn't really find another time of the day to do so. It's going to be a horrendous next day at work, but I'm taking the hit as it is. To show you how late it is, I only just got the lineup of Manchester City and Al Hilal, so that could give you a wild guess how early in the morning I'm doing this. But I also wanted to stay up to see if there was any potential things from Sheffield Wednesday. And lo and behold, nothing. It's officially the 1st of July. And I've already spoke about the issues of the 1st of July. And ultimately, I think Sheffield Wednesday fans are going to continuously just get sick and tired of me repeating the same things. But all I can do is just hope and pray and keep everything crossed that things for Sheffield Wednesday can be resolved as soon as possible. But today we are going to go through the next batch of transfers that have taken place since my last transfer video last week, and safe to say I've got 2 pages worth of deals to talk about, so lots keep going on, you know, when I'm not doing videos, so I will be covering those. And then I've got up to 9 to 10 different rumours which I'll throw in the ring, and they could be potentially ones that we might have to talk about from next week as well. So ultimately it's going to mix in with some confirmed transfers and some rumours. Before we move on, I want to say thank you again for subscribing to the channel. These are another bunch of people who have chosen to subscribe to me. David Coote, probably not the David Coote, Robbie, Norwich City FC, Tony Hayes, Only Truth, Shinami Juko, David Christie, Leather Goddess, Barry Pinton, Onyx, don't think I've said that right, apologies, Dr. Sydney Lowe, Carl the Ace, Heapster Chris, Steve Cantave, and Rovers and more. All of you guys, thank you so much for choosing to support my channel. It really does massively help. If you could like the video as well, maybe 40 likes would be amazing. It'll be massively appreciated. And please share the channel as well. But without any further ado, let's cover what has happened in this past week since my last transfer show. So we start things off with the manager movement, and we have had 3 managerial movements all in a week. So we've got lots to talk about. Rob Edwards, which he is now Middlesbrough's new boss. He was one of the names I did talk about during my video, and lo and behold, he gets appointed, I think literally an hour after my video goes out. So very ill-timed, but it was probably the one that was most likely going to come in compared to the other couple of managers that were linked for that role as well. I think he can do okay with Middlesbrough. I'd back him over Michael Carrick to get Middlesbrough into the playoffs. I just think with some of the options they were linked with, I personally see someone like a Steve Cooper as someone that's a little bit more better at getting Middlesbrough promotion if that's what they're really looking for. But if they're looking for someone to play great football but still be competitive, I think Rob Edwards can do that, and I think they could offer a mini upgrade from what Michael Carrick offered. In terms of another manager, Queen's Park Rangers have officially appointed Julian Stefan. He was rumoured to join, as I spoke about last week, and he does officially join as well. And we're going to talk about in a minute that they have made some signings, Queen's Park Rangers. They are now not messing around. They've got their manager in, and they're now getting some deals in place. But interesting appointment. I will be interested to see how he gets on. He's never managed a game in English football before. Wish him the best of luck. And for Leicester, they have confirmed that Ruud van Nistelrooy has left the club. Definitely wasn't a major surprise about that. In terms of the managers linked with the position, I know Sean Dyche is one of the favourites. We spoke about that last week where we were talking about our rumours section there. So those are the latest managerial movements. So now let's jump ahead and let's talk about some recent signings. So an outgoing for Birmingham, Amiyu Yokoyama, has left Birmingham to join Belgian side Genk. That is one that I did expect. I didn't think he'd feature a lot in this season. Bristol City have had 2 new transfers since my last video. Joe Lumley, they got him very early on actually since my last video. Free transfer from Southampton with his contract expiring. I think that's a good pickup from Bristol City. Someone with a load of experience at this level. And whether if he will be starting or not, I think he will be reliable when called upon. And one they've announced literally hours ago, Bristol City have signed Emil Rees-Jacobson from Preston. So I said last week with the impact of Preston getting Jebison in, I saw him as a player that I don't think he's really going to take the reins of Emil Rees' position, but he'll be a backup player. And I think Preston will still be looking for a striker. Rees-Jacobson obviously left Preston, not renewing his contract. His contract ran out, and Bristol City profited on that and got him on a free transfer. I think a good bit of business from Bristol City. I really am liking the areas that they're targeting, and I think their squad is looking pretty darn good at the moment. Derby have completed their first transfer, and it is one that was heavily linked. Carlton Morris has joined Derby from Luton Town. Didn't have the best of seasons last year. I think not really any of Luton players had a terrific season from last season, especially what they were expected to. But Carlton Morris, I think, does have a good performance in him in the Championship, and I think he will certainly give Derby an extra dimension in their attacking area. So I think that will be a positive signing. Just give him a good run of games and to get his confidence back up. I think Carlton Morris could be brilliant. Hull have had some significant movements again. So they got in Semi Ajayi on a free transfer from West Brom, a very experienced defender in Championship level. So I think that's a really sensible bit of business from Hull City there. Outgoings wise, however, they've lost Andy Smith, one of their defenders, to Gillingham, a couple of divisions below. And then one of their goalkeepers, Anthony Ratiopi, he has left to join SC Sion, who play in the Swiss League. So whilst there are a couple of outgoings, I don't think they're really going to affect the first team all that much. Just minorly affect the depth, so what. But I do think Hull will still, invest. They have been looking really proactive in this transfer window, and I'm liking the ambition that Hull are showing here. Ipswich, it was to be expected. They are starting to lose a couple of players, and one that happened within my last video to now is Axel Tuanzebe. He has left Ipswich Town to join Burnley on a free transfer. I think out of the back 4, Axel Tuanzebe, when called upon, was one of the better players in that back line, but I don't think it is one that really helps either club, honestly. I think Burnley need to do more than Axel Tuanzebe if they want to have a defence that can survive the Premier League. I think it's more or less a good opportunity for Tuanzebe to have another Premier League season, but I think for the clubs themselves, I don't think anyone's really going to benefit, unfortunately. But pleased for Burnley that they've got more players in. I really do need to see their squad build even more if I want to give them a chance to survive in the Prem. For Ipswich's point of view, it definitely rings true that defenders are needed. Karen Burgess and Axel Tuanzebe, who started quite a fair few times last season for Ipswich, are already gone. Yeah, Ipswich need to definitely prioritise getting players in that area. For Millwall, again, lots of movement. So 2 ingoings and 1 outgoing. We'll start off with the outgoing, actually. It's George Honeyman. So he's been one that has been playing in that midfield position and with a good amount of Championship experience. He has, however, dropped down the league below them to join Blackpool. So I think that's a good signing from Blackpool. I think he can certainly offer some very crucial experience for that team, and they will be a team, Blackpool, with now Steve Bruce as their manager, but we wanting to try and build upon their season finish from last time and to potentially have a crack at getting promotion into the top 6. In terms of ingoings for Mill, maybe one pretty predictable one. Josh Coburn has signed permanently from Middlesbrough to Millwall. Again, some people thought that it was going to happen, but there was also some that wasn't too sure. But I personally saw Coburn and Millwall being a good match made in heaven, and I really do think he will continue to play his best football with Millwall. I actually think his sort of stature actually suits more of the way that Mill like to play than in comparison to Middlesbrough. Another ingoing from Millwall's point of view is that they've got Matt Krokombe a goalkeeper from Burton Albion, kept, I think, was it up to 10 clean sheets last season for Burton Albion, a side that narrowly survived the season. And I think for that, he would have faced so many shots in so many games. So I'm expecting his save rate percentage to be pretty good, especially to get that amount of clean sheets for a really defensively leaky side like Burton. So I think that's a positive signing for Millwall. Whether he's going to be the number one choice, we'll have to wait and find out. But I'm liking the decisions these clubs are making with their depth, and I think Millwall have chosen really well here. If there's one team who's meaning business from next season, it is Norwich City. 2 new ingoings, 2 international ingoings. Wow. So they got a goalkeeper in, Vladan Kovacevic from Sporting. He didn't feature too much for Sporting, but he's 27 years old. I think a good age for a goalkeeper, on a 4-year deal on an undisclosed fee. Another ingoing for Norwich is Jakov Medic. I think that particular player will be very popular to some players with his name alone. But Jakov Medic is someone from Ajax, I believe, a centre-back. Another undisclosed fee with a 3-year deal this time around. And whilst I have not seen lots of these players, I'm really liking how far Norwich are going into the market to try and improve those areas of the squad, and especially in their defensive areas. That was priority number 1. Their attack was pretty good already, but they really need to improve their defence, getting a goalkeeper and a centre-back, and even getting a centre-back we spoke about last week in Harry Darling. I think Norwich are really meaning business this year, and I'm quite excited to see if all these signings can gel pretty quickly. We'll speak about Oxford for the first time in this transfer show. They've been very, very quiet. They need to act really, because now one of their more creative players, Ruben Rodrigues, has left them to join Vitória, a Brazilian team. So I do sense that Oxford will need to try and find someone who can operate out wide, a bit like what Ruben Rodrigues did. But he played an integral part to that Oxford side, and I think especially doing unbelievable work again in the previous year, it was going to be inevitable that he would have attracted interest. So a bit of a shame that it's gone this way for Oxford, but they will certainly be grateful for the service that Ruben Rodrigues has done, and now they've got to act pretty quickly to see if they can get someone in who can potentially offer what Ruben Rodrigues offers. So Queen's Park Rangers, we spoke about it at the start, that I'm really liking their transfer business. It's almost started now, but I'm liking now they've got a manager who can have a say in getting these players in. So in terms of my order of excitement, I'll go from the least excited to the most excited. So Keely Adamson, I'm putting as bottom. He's a right back, 22 years of age, and they got him from Australia. So we've been seeing a couple of Australian transfers quite recently, and Oceania related transfers as well. So pretty interesting for that area of the market is now being exploited a little bit more than ever in Championship clubs. I mean, really, he's only at the bottom of the list because I know about him the least compared to the other 2 players that QPR have signed quite recently. But he could turn out to be an incredible player. You know, we'll just have to wait and see. Second most excited player that they've signed is Amadou Mbengu. So he is a centre-back from Reading. Got him on a free transfer. I think he can do a brilliant job in the Championship for Queen's Park Rangers. But then to go immediately to the one that really stands out and could be one of the transfers of the window so far is Kwame Poku. QPR have got him. I spoke about him last week in my transfer show, and actually at that time it was Birmingham that had early interest. But as the week got on, we had other teams like Stoke getting involved, and then Queen's Park Rangers really ramping it up, and it was Queen's Park Rangers that got it done in the end. So well done to Queen's Park Rangers. And again, I think they're another side that are meaning business. I'm liking the transfers they're doing, and it's really now down to see if the manager can integrate a good system of play and can really attack English football. You know, the last time we saw someone, from the French league, a bit of an unknown quantity, was Reggie Lebris, and we saw what he was able to do for Sunderland. Now, for the last 2 outgoings, I'll speak about them quickly. Southampton, Paul Onichao is leaving them. Their centre forward is now going to join Trabzonspor. And for Stoke City, Niall Ellis, he is going to go back down to League One to join Blackpool. So, very bizarre story with Niall Ellis in terms of his championship chance, really. So, he initially left Plymouth, I believe it was to join Blackburn, to try and get more minutes in championship football. That never ended up happening, and then lo and behold, I feel like he was also involved with Stoke, I like to think, and then now he's now gone down to the league below, back down to League One, and this time needing to prove himself for Blackpool. And I hope for his sake that he does prove himself here, because I do think there's a player there. I just don't think we really got to see the best of him with the amount of chances and opportunities he was given. Right, so just like that, that is all of the confirmed transfers in this past week. If I've missed anyone out, let me know in the comments. Now let's go through some rumours. So the first rumour I would like to talk about is linked with Birmingham. So there's two rumours I'll put with Birmingham. The first one is an old favourite in terms of the championship, Bright Asai Samuel. You'll probably remember him as being a really attacking right winger from Queen's Park Rangers. He then joined Turkey and has actually operated a bit more of an attacking wing back in the right hand side for Fenerbahce. So his game has changed ever so slightly. So I'll be very interested to know, if he does join Birmingham, what sort of role will Chris Davies give Bright Asai Samuel? But I do think there is still a really good player there who could do a really good job in the championship. So I'll keep my eyes peeled on that one, and that'll get me a little bit excited if he does make a return. So another rumour linked with Birmingham, Tommy Doyle. Looks like that he's been heavily approached by Birmingham. I think the way that Birmingham are going to try and do it is to get him on a loan deal with an obligation to buy. It's going to be a massive fee to buy him outright. So I think if they are going to get him in, it's going to be for a loan deal. He did do a good job at Sheffield United last year. I could see him also doing a similarly good role for Birmingham if they could pull this off too. So Wrexham, I mean, it's not just going to be Birmingham and Wrexham, but I am going to talk about Wrexham because they're linked with two players at this moment of time. Danny Ward, they've been linked with a lot through in this transfer window so far. They haven't, sort of made it clear based on how many times they've been looking at Danny Ward, that they are wanting to get another goalkeeper in, whether that's going to be a number 2 to their current one, or to just get a little bit of an improvement of their quality. I mean, Danny Ward, could he pick himself off after the Premier League season he had with Leicester? I mean, I can really hope he does. But Wrexham have also been linked with Tommy Smith, the right back. Obviously, he was linked for Stoke City for quite a number of years. Phil Parkinson actually did sign Tommy Smith before, if I remember, when he was Sunderland manager. But I'd like to say that he never actually got to play him. And I think when they did get him in, I like to think that Phil Parkinson wasn't in the position that much longer after that. So this could be a good opportunity to rekindle their relationship, Parkinson and Tommy Smith in that front there. So I think some very interesting developments, and I think they both will add some benefit to Wrexham going forward. So I'm going to reiterate the comment that I made about Ipswich Town. They are going to be having a lot of their players linked with moves away, being subsequently relegated from the Premier League. And Omari Hutchinson is attracting interest from Everton, but especially more or less recently West Ham, because you will probably be aware that they've got a situation at the moment with Mohamed Kudus. He's been linked with the likes of Manchester United, but really strong interest with Chelsea. If he does go to one of those two clubs or any other clubs that are expressing interest in Mohamed Kudus, West Ham could look at Omari Hutchinson to be the potential suitor to Kudus' position on the pitch. That would be devastating for Ipswich if they do lose Omari Hutchinson late on in the transfer window. I think the best approach will be is to accept that there is going to be interest, but I think part of it is going to be convincing Hutchinson to either stay on, with amendments to his contract potentially, or making sure that there's enough suitable replacements that could potentially fill the void for Hutchinson if, worst case scenario for Ipswich if he does leave. So it's those sorts of kind of plannings and contingency plans need to be put into place for Ipswich, and just to balance the expectations of balancing the best but expecting the worst as well. But it'll be a great opportunity for Hutchinson if he could get another go at the Premier League. And I think for someone like West Ham, I think he could really thrive there. I really do. Now, more rumours. Tom Kaminsky has been linked to a move to Charlton. So obviously he's been relegated with Luton. Didn't have a really good season at all. I thought he did really well at the Prem. But in the Championship, not great at all in terms of his save rate percentage and with the amount of goals he conceded with the XG that Luton faced in the end. But Charlton, I think that'll be a positive move for them. I think for someone who has got experience. And I just don't know. I feel like Luton was just a very strange case that a lot of the players were down and just were not performing. Maybe a fresh start for Kaminsky is what's needed for him to really hit him back at his best levels. And at his best, he's brilliant. One of the best that we've seen. So Charlton, I think if they've got the offer for 1 million to get him in, I might actually consider them gambling for it. I think he will offer some really, really good, backup experience. And I believe he would have worked with Nathan Jones before. So I think there would be a good chance that Kaminsky will improve his form if he does join Charlton. John Swift is a very interesting one. So as we know, he is out of contract from West Brom. You're going to see it in a video tomorrow when I speak about my Q&A. There was a question about West Brom, and I talked about that there was lots of transitions in their seasons because of players leaving, and John Swift is one of those integral experienced players that is leaving because his contract has run out. Stoke and Derby are fighting to get him, but there are some complications on his wage. So by the looks of things, I feel like he was I'm not going to say overpaid, but he definitely had a really big salary with West Brom. And I would say Stoke and Derby, I don't think are going to be able to offer a very similar wage structure to John Swift. So it does feel that if John Swift does join one of these clubs, he will have to take a wage cut, and that would likely make things a little bit difficult in terms of him to perform at his very, very best. But we're just going to have to wait and see if other clubs could potentially match John Swift for wages. But Stoke and Derby are the latest two clubs that will be interested, and they can now officially sign him as of today because his contract has run out yesterday on Monday the 30th of June. So there's two more rumours which I'll talk about. Alfie Dowy was speaking about reunions from Kaminsky to Nathan Jones. Could Alfie Dowy reunite with a former Luton boss in Rob Edwards, but from Middlesbrough? So Luton are not going to make it easy to let go of Alfie Dowy. I think even despite Luton being as poor as they were, I thought Alfie Dowy still had some really big moments in their season. I think what will really make it difficult for Middlesbrough is going to be the fee. So maybe the best case scenario for Middlesbrough to save up is to potentially loan him. But again, I think Luton are going to want him to start. So it's going to be a very difficult one. But Rod Edwards, who's worked with Dowy before, maybe could be the one that might help tip the scale a bit and will allow Dowy to jump back up to the Championship, which I really do think he belongs there. He'll be way too good for League One if he does stay on for Luton. And the final rumour to talk about is Kessler Hayden. So he's been an Aston Villa youth prodigy that has had a couple of loan spells, most recently at Preston, which I actually think he did a really good job with Preston actually. Aston Villa need to sell, their homegrown players to comply with PSR at the moment, which is looking a little bit touch and go at the moment. So one of the ways that they're thinking of doing that is to start selling their players that they typically loan out permanently, and Kessler Hayden does fall in that group. He's linked with Coventry at the moment, and I do think Coventry, I think it will suit him. I certainly could see the wide positions of the pitch being a very prominent part of the pitch, so I think Kessler Hayden will be given a really important role in that team, but I almost think that'll be the perfect development opportunity for him as well. I think we've seen some really good flares and really good stuff from him, and I think certainly Coventry will be one with hefty expectations, I've given that, but I think certainly it will be a really, really good challenge for him if he does take this on. So guys, that is all the rumours and all the latest transfers all done. If I do somehow post this on Tuesday, I deserve a bloody medal because I'm absolutely shattered. I should be asleep because I'll be awake in about less than 5 hours time for work, but I've still got to edit and make the thumbnail, so I'm going to have some fun tonight. But ultimately, if you can like, share and subscribe, it really, really does help the growth of this channel. It's massively appreciated with everyone showing the support. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for signing this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.